gave you 15 minutes of some of the headlines. And so we take some of those headlines and then we add more to it. And so it's a pleasure again to be back as we take you through all the headlines from the world of sport. The UEFA Champions League will be our major focus on the show today. If you have not heard, we will tell you. In case you have heard, we'll also add our voice to it. You can also add your voice to it, and we'll tell you how you go about that in a while. I've got SAMIES here with me in the studio, and I've got Blessing somewhere away from the studio. We'll break down the UEFA Champions League round of 16 draws that went down earlier today without some heavyweight. No AC Milan, no Juventus Football Club, no Manchester City. Well, hey, you've got the other big boys in, and we'll tell you how those big boys have been pitched against each other. Not just the UEFA Champions League, we also saw the draws for the UEFA Cup and the third tier of European club competition, that is the UEFA Conference League. We'll also take a look at some of the events this weekend. We like to say this weekend, we call it football and some other headlines, football and boxing, because in faraway Saudi Arabia, we'll be having one heavyweight bout that will probably decide the course of that heavyweight division in the next few months. Like I said, I am Peter Omo. I'm glad again to be back as we run you through all the headlines from the world of sports. Blessing, it's a pleasure having you this afternoon on the show. UEFA Champions League, like I said, will take a center stage. SAMIES, it's good to also have you close to me right here in the studio. UEFA Champions League come and gone. When I say come and gone, the race to Munich. That is where the final will be going down on the 31st of May. Have that date down. The time, I will tell you, but for now, 16 teams, 2 will only be in Munich. Bayern, of course, are part of the team looking to be at home. The last time they were at home in 2012, they lost to Chelsea. But in this one, there's no Chelsea. But there's Arsenal Football Club, another side based in London. Sammy, it's a pleasure having you join me on the show. Yes, we have the UEFA Champions League draws already. You have them right in front of you. Bless, I also know you also have them right in front of you. You know, one question I love to ask when I come in this format, when we talk about things like this, is what will be your major game? Tell me it's a Madrid derby. Tell me it's the it's the Bayern against Bayern. There's a way they call both Bayer Leverkusen and Bayern Munich. So tell me which one will take the headline for you. Sammy was just telling me a few minutes ago before we came into the studio that the dates are, of course, they're out. So Sammy will tell us more about that. So Sammy, I will start with you quickly. Sammy, there's Aston Villa against Club Brugge. There's Lille against Borussia Dortmund. There's Real against Atletico Madrid. The Madrid derby. The German derby too, we'll call it. There's Bayern Munich against Bayer Leverkusen. Would Bayer Leverkusen stop Bayern from getting to the final at their home ground? There's Inter Milan, the only Italian team remaining, against Feyenoord from Rotterdam, who earlier today announced Robert van Persie as their new head coach. There's PSV Eindhoven, who sent Juventus back in. They play against Arsenal Football Club. Liverpool against Paris Saint-Germain, and Benfica will host. Benfica will play away from home this time against Football Club Barcelona. So, Blessing, it's a pleasure having you on the show this Friday afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, Peter, Samis, and of course everyone else listening to us. Great to be back on the show again. And you started off, in the best way we could have, talking about the Champions League, the draws. It's I don't want to say I'm surprised by the draws really, because when you've found out some of the big heavyweights, have been knocked out, you would also expect that maybe we'll see some other games that will live up to the bill. However, I did think that UEFA would be able to keep apart teams that play in the same league, which was what they tried or have done very well successfully for the past couple of years with the previous formats, where you keep the teams from the same league apart until, say, the semi-finals or thereabout, or the quarterfinals. But hey, we're having these big teams come together in the round of 16. I think it just shows that you play hard or you go home practically. And I'm looking at the draws here. I'd say the Madrid derby definitely will be one that really, really jumps at me, alongside Liverpool and Paris Saint-Germain as well. Yeah, and we'll also look at the German derby too, because Leverkusen and Bayern Munich have been at I don't want to say loggerheads, but so far this season, I think they've met 3 times already.
Yeah.
Twice in the league and 1 in the DFB Pokal.
Yeah.
Leverkusen knocked out Bayern Munich in the DFB Pokal. They got a red card in that game to Manuel Neuer. And it was Nathan Teller's goal that, helped them through to the next round. And the last weekend, where we saw Leverkusen and Bayern Munich play, it was a really tough one for Bayern. Tough one in the sense that Bayern didn't really create. I mean, there was not a single shot on target really for Bayern Munich in that game, and it was all Leverkusen trying so hard, probing so hard. Unfortunately, they couldn't score. In the first leg too, I think he also ended a draw, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, we've seen a very tough game between these two sides. already this season. So we would expect something much more tougher because the stakes are high at this point in time, which is the Champions League. So yes, I'm looking forward to that game as well. And then PSG and Liverpool, just knowing the trajectory that Liverpool have been this season and how they've been really, really impressive, except for the last couple of games where results at some point feels okay, maybe they might be turning out just a little bit, but you'd expect that from them because they played with so much intensity since the start of the season. So I expect that game will be very tough as well. And with PSG trying to forge their path without the Kylian Mbappe in the Champions League, so far so good with Bradley Barcola and Ousmane Dembele, who has been really, really hot and in form.
Right.
And of course the Madrid derby as well. For Real Madrid, you don't get. I mean, you beat Manchester City and you get rewarded with a very tough team in Atletico Madrid. I think it's going to be a really tough one for them. These 3 matches definitely stand up for them.
Okay, so I'll come to Sammy's. Blessing spoke about the Madrid derby, and just speaking about Real, let me just quickly say this coming in the last few seconds. The appeal for Jude Bellingham's has been rejected. Bellingham will now miss 2 games in La Liga. It will be the game this weekend against Girona and the game coming up next week. He will also miss the first leg of the UEFA Champions League game against Atletico Madrid. That will be at the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium. Sammy's blessing say for him, the teams I mentioned, that the Madrid derby, the Bayern against Bayer Leverkusen, the PSG who play away from home against Liverpool will take the headline. I don't know, maybe you want to stay with him, but this one, of course, you were also pointing my attention to how if you get to win your game, the team you get to meet. It's just like what we saw with CAF yesterday. There's no point for us coming back to this again. So you know your opponents, Samis.
Good afternoon to everyone who has joined us on the show. Just like a Blessing said, the draws for the UEFA Champions League is a great one. But for her, seeing maybe some of the draws are coming as a surprise. I think
this is
something we've known since the playoffs began, where you know that you are either going to play against A or B. But it just happens that a few of the players got their wish, like Kylian Mbappe and Jude Bellingham, not wanting to leave the Madrid to play against each other. Not until maybe one team progresses
they don't want to travel at all.
The quarterfinals. But how difficult is that for Arsenal Football Club, who had just one option of going to the Netherlands, either against the Feyenoord or PSV.
It's even simple. The city is they go to Rotterdam or they go to Eindhoven.
So they are now playing against PSV and Eindhoven, who they played in the group stage last season, winning the first leg and, of course, drawing the second leg. But how did this draw go down? Probably, I would say I'm really excited with the draws. Probably, like Blessing said, you win or you go home. And this is the situation where we see almost all the big boys left in the UEFA Champions League. And also, it's a critical point, that's a position where no team is a minor at this point. All of them will go on and want to win their games this season, like a PSV. They did a lot to work over Juventus, eliminating Juventus. Then we saw what Feyenoord also did. They also knocked out. Feyenoord knocked out. I've almost forgotten who Feyenoord knocked out. But I will still get back to that. Then Benfica knocking out Monaco. We saw Club Brugge eliminate Atalanta, and they'll be up against Aston Villa. And then you talk about maybe Borussia Dortmund also. How the sides they've done so well for themselves in the UEFA Champions League, but it is a great one. But we know that we have the second tier and also the third tier of European competition. That's the Europa League and the Conference League. And I dare say that this is the biggest test years for Chelsea.
So I'm happy with the Feyenoord was AC Milan.
AC Milan, yes. Yeah. AC Milan. The Europa League and the Conference League, we now see. I was giving Galatasaray a shot at the UEFA Europa League.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that because I took time yesterday to watch that game to see maybe Victor Osimhen will help his team pass 𝐶𝐈𝐒𝐒𝐿, the club from Holland, but that didn't happen because for me that was the Dutch side who came to Istanbul and they got the job done. We'll get to that and tell you what it means in terms of what 𝐶𝐈𝐒𝐒𝐿 looks like in terms of who they'll be playing against. So we have those games set for the first week of March. Before the international window comes up in the month of March. So we wait to see all of this will go on. There will be definitely more discussion around the UEFA Champions League round of 16. Like I said the other time, some of the big guns are out of it. AC Milan, Juventus, Manchester City will not be taking part. And this is the first time with Pep Guardiola not having his team playing the UEFA Champions League round of 16. All right, so we'll get to the point where they play against Liverpool at a point in time on the show. Let's go to the second tier of European club competition. Blessing. SAMIES was there talking about how Victor Osimhen, Galatasaray could not qualify last night. I don't know, maybe you took time to watch, but in all, I think Galatasaray to some extent don't really play the way I expected them to go about games. Watch them over 2 legs against the side from Holland. They lost the first leg 4-1 last night. Ended draw between these two sides, and I felt that the team don't do well, and I'm only hoping that Victor can find his way out of the club side in the summer. I expect him to play for a better side. With all due respect to Gala, one of the big side, if not the biggest side in Turkish football. I don't want to say maybe they're big in terms of European pedigree, but for me, I think it would be nice for Osimhen to leave. That club, for me, is a no-no based on what I saw. And of course, I know they also have a big game coming up on Monday against Fenerbahce. Blessing.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see the game. I didn't see both legs of the game, but I do agree with you 100%. Osimhen must leave at the end of the season. Thankfully, it's a season-long loan.
Yeah.
And I know that if he wasn't the kind of player that he was, he probably would have left in January. But again, that would have been maybe a little too soon. Because of the situation that he found himself in with Napoli, and he needs to ensure that he makes the right move come summer. So yes, he has to leave at the end of the day. But again, with Galatasaray, the issues around them, I just look at some of the stories I've seen coming out of the league about how the league is quote unquote favored to them.
Compromise. I think maybe that's the word.
Exactly, maybe compromise with refereeing decisions going their way against the other team. I mean, I saw a cryptic post. Was it really cryptic, actually, by Jose Mourinho on Instagram? That man holds no bar when it comes to, speaking out his mind.
Yeah.
And just 2 weeks ago, I heard the story about, a team who walked out of the pitch.
Yeah. It is not a story, Blessing. It actually happened.
It happened last night again.
It happened last night again, but it was in Holland, in Belgium. But it was due to some security around the stadium. But go on, Blessing.
Now the person the team that walked out, they are going to be handed all 3 points because the fact that you walked out has really knocked you in the feet already. So yes, I agree with you 100%. But you say Osimhen must leave, but then again he has to plan his move very carefully. And if I recall very well from the drama in the back last year, I heard that he was now representing himself. Like he fired his representative,
his agent.
He was now representing himself, his agent.
It reminds me of Postcodes.
If that's a score, I don't know if it's a small screen. It could be a smoke screen, and it could also be that he indeed fired his agent. So he needs to be very, very careful to make a move that will not, be detrimental to him at the end of the day. But again, it's disappointing that Galatasaray couldn't, really find their way out of that difficult situation to make it pass, to make it to this stage of the Europa League.
SAMIES.
Well, for me, Osimhen probably is not going to cost more than £60 million if anyone wants to.
You've got the money. The way you went about it, it's not going to cost more than £60 million.
No, you look at how much he was worth when he led Napoli to the Scudetto.
Yeah.
And now compared to where he is now and at the level at which he's playing. Yes, he's getting the goals for Galatasaray. But would you compare that Turkish league to the Europe top 5 leagues? No, you are not going to do that.
You won't do that. But if you continue banging in the goals, that value will keep increasing.
And he leaves Turkey with a medal.
That's his value being increased. So the Laurentians will go back and say, give me this money or this boy will not go anywhere.
And they should loan him out
possibly
again.
a highest goal scorer award as well.
It looks like it's going to do that. Anyway.
They should loan him out again.
No, you won't loan out. He's going to move because you want to cash out on him right now and avoid him.
How much did?
But the mistake he made actually was probably didn't think about all of these things well, and I think lots of Nigerians or football fans are happy Ademola Lookman is not in that kind of situation.
Okay, hold on. Let's I don't want us to drag this because let's stay with what we have. What I would say is that how much did the Georgian move, Kvaratskhelia?
Was not more than 70.
So Kvaratskhelia, Osimhen. So I'm hoping that what Sammy said might just be it. That the Laurentians might just come to a point you say 60, 50 million. Let this boy just go and let's have the money and move on.
But I don't think you will let him go for 50. 50 is small, honestly.
How much did they sign Victor Osimhen?
No. Don't go that route.
I know he has added value.
Yes,
he has added value.
And close. No. It is
There's a
release
clause.
that he has.
There's a clause in it.
There's a clause in it, and I think it's around 70 or 80, if I'm not mistaken.
That clause was 100 plus. Oh,
Yeah, it was.
in the
that
summer.
was at
In
that
the summer,
point
it was
when
100 plus.
At that time, yeah.
Yeah.
Osimhen was
Very
hot.
fair for
Osimhen is still hot now.
Still hot.
Osimhen is still the hot guy now.
Hot.
Still hot.
May we qualify
Or
for
maybe
World
say
Cup
hot.
first. May we qualify for World Cup.
No, our World Cup is not tied to Osimhen now. Our World Cup is.
May he lead us.
Okay, Osimhen, you don't hear. There are people. I hope there are people that hear this one. Lead us to the World Cup. Let's see World Cup. But Ajax will play against Eintracht Frankfurt. Fenerbahce will play against Rangers of Glasgow in Scotland. FSCB will play against Olympique Lyon. AZ Alkmaar will play against Spurs. That's the side that sent Gala Park last night. United, Manchester United will play against Real Sociedad. Lazio against Victoria Plzen. AS Roma will play against Athletic Club Bilbao. That will be it in terms of what we've got. And of course, Chelsea will play against Copenhagen of Denmark in the round of 16 of the UEFA Conference League. So let's jump away from all that. And
before we jump away, I just hope, looking at this Europa Conference League draws, probably this will be the third time lucky for Fiorentina. From the maiden edition down to this point, they were in the finals in the first.
They have
editions.
A good goalkeeper now.
Now
maybe David De Gea will save them.
Maybe because losing to AS Roma,
yes,
losing to West Ham.
Yeah,
I think it
was West Ham first,
West
and then
Ham,
Roma second.
Roma.
Yeah.
I think it didn't do them so well.
Okay.
So they are in it again.
Yeah.
Let's see how far they can go. And that's our first battle. Starts against that's the
Panathinaikos of Greece. Okay, so let's jump away from that. Blessing. I was here yesterday. Sammy was taking me on about the MPFL game in Remo, Ikene, where Remo Stars hosted Kwara United. And I boldly say on this show yesterday that if Remo Stars gets a win against Kwara United, the league is over. 10-point gap, they will win the league. I don't know, maybe you share the same sentiment after that result last night.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like, if your opponent is taking a 10-point gap over...
In the MPFL, 𝐿.
Actually, it is because I look at Remo Stars and I think to myself that they might be a bit ripe for the Premier League title, for the MPFL title. You know what I mean by saying that? Like, I mean, for all these years, they've come very close. The investment the owner has made in the team. And yes, I don't think anyone will raise eyebrows if at the end of the day they do just about enough to ensure that they win. But with 10 points gap already, I feel like it is pretty much close to done and dusted. So whatever they need to do now is just protect that league. The draw Shooting Stars had against was it
Lobby Stars?
Was it Lobby Stars?
Yeah.
At the Lagos Alumni Sports Complex. No, that didn't do them a word of good.
Yeah, it didn't at all.
Shooting Stars have to be very careful. You have to be very careful to not fall further behind. Because,
you know, Blessing.
It's second at the moment.
Blessing. That's Blessing. Hold a bit. That's my fear. Yeah. I was here telling Samis yesterday that Benga, I've got a lot to do now. This is the business end of the league. You can't afford to drop points at home. Now you might say the league might just be over, but they might not agree if they speak in the public. But I just feel that now is the time. They play the next game this weekend against Eyimba. Eyimba too are not the Eyimba that we used to know. Maybe it's a place they can go and get maximum point. That will prove something big. And if they do this weekend, we might come here Monday and say, Remo Stars, watch it. But like I said, 10 points is much.
There are 13 games. There are 13 games to the end of the season. There are 13 games left to play. So, I mean, you can understand saying 10-point gaps. Maybe it's wrapped, it's over. But then again, 13 games is a lot, to dictate.
And 10 points too is a lot. Blessing.
It's a lot, yes. But you see why I'm not so much flustered with Nigerian Professional Football League is that at this point you could get to a stage where Remo Stars are winning all of their own games and maybe picking points on the road,
exactly,
or losing one or two of the remaining 13 games left to play. So I mean, I'm not flustered about all of that, but yeah, I think they're very, very good position, primed enough to win the PFL. And I mean, it's worth it after all these years. They reach million win.
They reach million win. So maybe Samis will not agree with you because Samis is still believing that Shooting Stars have got a chance in the title.
Well, I had that conversation with that's one of our colleagues out there, and he said anything is still possible.
What is the possible thing?
And then I looked at him in the face and I just laughed, like, really, how is anything been possible here? But I look at it also and I say, okay,
I know Shooting Stars will still play Remo, but it's just 3 points.
Just 3 points. But then I looked at him and I said to myself, well, probably he has a point. But then for Remo Stars, can Daniel Ogumodede, can he push his boys so hard not to be so forgetful that they still have something to challenge for? 15 games till the end of the season. That's 15 times 3. I think that's 30.
45.
45 points are still to fight for. Can they accumulate another 50 points in the NPFL this season? Can they get up to that's 30 points or 35, 40 points before the season runs to an end? The boys, their mental.
Let me help so we can settle this discussion once and for all. All Remo Stars need to do is win all their home games.
Yes, which is very.
Do the calculation. All their home games, just win all their home games. Like Blessing said, maybe 1 point or get a draw away from home. 1 point here, just to make it up. Bam, that's it. I know that they're coming to Ibadan will be tough. You will make it tough for them, but just win on the 10 points. Blessing, maybe you can help me. I was telling SAMIES yesterday. I have never had in the MP. If you guys can help me, you can just send me something that I will say maybe it's. I have never seen any team go 10-point lead in the MPFL and then head up losing it. Me Ogbo.
Yeah, can be the first.
I know. There's always a first time. I know. I've never. Let's go to this weekend, Blessing.
You see what? Okay.
Okay, you just finish that.
Yeah, but you see what I was wanting SAMIES to realize is that it is Remo Stars. Like there are some things that we cannot say openly. Remo Stars are to development of their team. Of their team.
Yeah, you can't say it openly.
Of their team.
Yeah.
And again, for shooting stars, if you get back on the continent, I think it's good enough.
It's even massive. It's even massive. It's not only good, Blessing.
Yes,
it's massive.
Like that would be the first time in over 23, 24 years.
See, me, I know this thing they say when you chase for the stars, you chase for the moon. There's a way they go about this thing.
You land on the moon, yeah.
You have chased the league. Now, that's what I'm saying that they should just chase for continental.
They should not chase for the continental now. They should keep chasing for the league, because if you say shooting stars to, they should chase for the continental now. They're just 2 points ahead. I guess Rivers United. I guess so. Shooting stars should not be like last season.
Chase the league.
Where our hopes were just 2 games before the end of the season.
The level they are now. I'm hoping and praying they don't finish third. That will be second tier of African club competition. Finish second. Hold on to that second place and get CAF Champions League. Yeah, CAF Champions League. The venue for that is a different ballgame entirely. This stadium, I don't think it's got the requirement to host, but we'll get to that point. Shooting stars, get the tickets first before we talk about that. This weekend, Blessing, because our time is almost up. There's City against Liverpool, there's Arsenal against West Ham, there's Joseph Parker against the Bois, there's Newcastle against Nottingham Forest, there's Olympique Lyon in France against Paris Saint-Germain, there's Aston Villa against Chelsea. So where do you pick? Before you pick anything, SAMIES have got something for us. One of the managers speaking. Let's take a listen to who is this? I think it's Pep Guardiola here. He's got something to say. Let's listen to Manchester City head coach.
Can I ask you an update on the fitness of Erling Haaland for this game?
Don't know yet. Tomorrow we'll know it. I don't know yet. It's better to have Erling on the pitch than we don't have it, obviously. But with Erling, we are in the position that we are right now. He's injured, a difficult one. Next hours, days, we'll know we need surgery or not.
Okay, so Blessing, how crucial is this if Haaland is not going to play on Sunday against Liverpool?
If anything we saw with the game against Newcastle, if it was anything to go by, you probably understand why maybe they may not be missing Haaland, so much, because it was all about Omar Mamouche practically announcing himself to the Premier League faithfuls. Pretty much showing what he is good, what he's made of. I mean, although we saw some kind of runs that Haaland made in that game, in a way he distracted defenders and allowed some space for the likes of Foden and Mamouche to operate in. But I feel like City are like a wounded lion right now. I don't know if they can respond. I don't think they can respond. But it would be so great to see them pull some sort of weight against Liverpool, knowing that Liverpool they drew the last game against Everton, drew against Aston Villa. So yes, this might be an opportunity for them coming back into the Premier League to try to make something count. That's speaking of Manchester City. But I expect a tough game nonetheless.
Okay, so there you have lesson there. It's taught about Pep Guardiola and City. How about for Liverpool's Arne Slot? Don't forget the 2 last away games, they've been able to get just 2 points.
Know exactly what happens between Arsenal and West Ham. So how does that impact you? Because if they win, it feels like a much more pressurised situation to match their result.
I think the biggest question to be asked is from Man City, because we face a strong team again, like we faced Villa. So Arsenal plays before us, but we know that doesn't make the game easier or more difficult that we have against City. We know we have 12 games to play, and Arsenal has 13 games to play. And if we constantly look at Arsenal or what other teams are doing, that would not help us. So.
Okay, so let's come wrap up the show. SAMIES, I don't know your take about this before we go. He's talking about the pressure, that it's not no pressure. Arsenal play first before they play on
I think
Sunday.
I said on the show that was yesterday. You don't count 3 points you don't have. For Arsenal, they haven't gotten 3 points yet to reduce the deficit the points to 5. But for Liverpool Football Club, we know that the running now is getting much more difficult for them. They played against Everton, Wolverhampton Wanderers, Aston Villa. Now they will be up against Manchester City this weekend. Up next, Newcastle. Well, this side, I just hope that they don't get tired more, because what I've seen from them is been tired. Mohamed Salah has been the difference for that Liverpool Football Club this season.
You need one player to make the difference for you to win the league. Is Mo Salah the man to make the difference? We'll find out on Sunday. Thank you so much, Blessing, for your time. Let's do it again on Monday when we come and look at all of these games and some of the talking points in the world of sport. All right, so there you go. I am Peter Omo. He's SAMIES. We'll see you guys again when we come by His grace. That will be Monday morning, 7:45 for Scoreboard 15. But don't forget, the Premier League will be here on Saturday from 4 p.m. to 6. We'll give you all the Premier League games going down for 4. But before that, there'll be lunchtime kickoff 1:30. That will be Everton at Goodison Park playing against Manchester United.